As a parent of two lovely children, I want to tell you one of the best ways to get a good night's sleep is learn how to swaddle your little Bambino. So today, I'm going to show you how to make the easiest swaddling blanket ever. Let's get started. Now, I know you'll never believe this at home, but my children are both real wiggle worms. So I realized the key to keeping them swaddled through the whole night was actually having a larger piece of fabric to start with. So I made a lot of my own swaddling blankets. So I am jazzed today that Shannon has come out with a double gauze that is 50 inches wide. I know, gauze, what you're thinking, no, I don't want to sew, I don't want to cut. This double gauze is fantastic, and I'm going to show you why here in just a second. But let's talk about this supplies-wise. All you need for this awesome blanket, this is called Embrace, right? It's fantastic, fun little whales for my little Bambino boy, of course. Now, it is 50 inches wide, so I've purchased 1.5 yards, so it's a 54 by 50 inches, so nice big square almost. And then the key to the double gauze is it's 2 layers of gauze that is put together. And we are not washing this before we start. We're going to wash it once everything's stitched. And with that double gauze, it's been tacked every square inch in both directions. And what that does is it keeps everything nice and stable as we're sewing and cutting. So the easiest way to do this when we get it home from the quilt shop, or of course, if you need supplies, we've got a link in the description right below there. You can order it online from us. All you need to do is take your rotary cutter. We're not even using a ruler for this. We are simply just going to use this edge, which is created by the tacking of the 2 layers coming together. So I'm going to carefully, because I don't have a ruler to protect my hands, I'm going to start cutting on the raw edge side here. Let me make sure I got through that first little selvage. And I'm taking it nice and slow, a good amount of pressure because I'm going through 2 layers, right? And I'm just cutting right along the line that I can see. I'm hoping you can all see that at home nice today. And then I just pull away every now and again. You might see a little thread laying behind. And then I'm just going to shift this down to finish the cut. So we're doing this to the raw edges, but we are not doing this to the selvages. We're going to leave our selvages intact, and we're going to use those for our first set of sewing, which is coming up here in just a second as soon as I get this edge cleaned up. Always a good idea to put your blade cover back on whenever you're not cutting. Make sure you're being careful with your tools. Okay, so we have that now cut and easy to go. That simple. I told you this would be the simplest swaddling blanket ever. I'm getting my iron heated up, and like I said, we're going to start with our selvage side. So I'm going to bring my selvage around here now, and the first thing I want to do is I want to press it to keep it nice and clean and tidy, and then we're just going to fold it over. So here I'm going to press the edge, and that's just to kind of set the selvage. Nice. And then while I am getting ready to stitch it, I'm going to take the selvage edge and I'm going to fold it over 1, 2, 3 lines to give myself, which looks like about 1.5 inches of a hem. And then what I have learned to do is to make sure that it's easy to sew, I'm just going to come through and hit it real quick with the iron. And you can probably hear, I love the steam in that iron that's going, and that helps set a nice crisp edge as well, having a little bit of steam. Okay, so I'm going to get this done. And then we're going to bounce over to the sewing machine here in just a second. Okay, as we get ready to approach the sewing machine, I have a cotton thread on the top and in the bobbin, and I'm going to literally just run my presser foot right along that selvage as I get ready to stitch, back stitch, and we're going to let this roll all the way through. Let me show you what that looks like all finished up. Check this out. I've got the selvage edge already turned over and stitched, and just a reminder, it is just the selvage that has been turned under there, no trimming necessary, and I've stitched all the way along both sides. And as I said, with the double gauze, you get very little shifting when you're cutting and or stitching, but you might get a little bit like I did here at this corner. So all we have to do, because we still need to sew these edges, let's just take that and trim it. So we're going to check all 4 of our corners real quick, make sure they're ready to go. Like that. And then all we need to do is bring this edge. Now, when we do the raw edges, we're going to actually do 2 seams. We're going to first start by doing about 1/4 inch. So I'm going to take this raw edge. Let me get it organized here for us. I think my coffee's kicking in a little bit. What do you think there? Of course, sleepless nights, haha. Now, let's just take a quick press here. Then I'm going to take the edge, and this time I'm taking the raw edge and I'm folding it just 1 square down. And if this doesn't turn out perfect, it's okay, because this is just the first of the 2 seams we're doing. And then I'm just running that edge all the way there. But by pressing it with the iron, that gives us a nice little bit of crispness, helps us stitch it. Over to that first line again. Now, a lot of you are probably checking out my ironing board here and noticing that it would be awesome if I had about a 18-foot ironing board. And I have a fun tutorial out there that teaches you how to make ironing board covers and portable ironing boards as well. So if you're thinking, boy, he needs a bigger ironing board right now, I've got a tutorial for you. You can make one for your very own. Now, as I have that ironed over, now we're going to go into the sewing machine again, and we're just going to take that real first edge, that easy edge, and we're going to sew all the way through the layers. And it looks just like a 1/4 inch fold, basically. Okay, now that we have that raw edge tacked down to that first line, all we're going to do now to finish is we're simply going to take this, and hopefully you can see that real cool tacking line. Again, that's how they hold the double gauzes together. Then I'm going to just fold this down to what would have been the 3rd line, and that is going to make for a nice finished edge, and it's going to basically match the hem on the opposite side. And now you could press it if you'd like to, but it's almost just as easy to go ahead and look at it as you're sewing through the machine. Maybe a little hard for you to see, but I can see that I'm lining up the folded over edge right along that tacking line. And because this is my finished part now, I'm going to take it a little bit slower. As I said, sewing with this double gauze is super easy, but there's a couple things I want to point out I'm looking for. I'm going to come back here. It might be even a little easier to see on the camera, but one of the things is I can see the lines as they run across here. They run right across the rest of the body of the project. So when I'm looking at them, I'm looking for the fact that these lines fold over so I can make sure I'm keeping it straight. And if it didn't stay perfectly straight as I was coming to the end, and if there was a bunch of shifting or something like that coming on, then all I do is I start to line up my bottom edge. And if I have to cheat at all, I can get a little bit of flexibility in these last, let's call it 8 or 10 inches. So right now I'm just going to organize it as I finish. Pinching these ends together nice. Of course, we always want to backstitch because this is going to be a very washable project. And not only is it very washable, that's actually the importance of all of this. So as a quick reminder, we've done all 4 edges. We started with our selvages. We folded them over and just stitched 1 time. Then we took our raw edges that we cut ourselves, we folded them over a small amount, stitched it, then a big amount and stitched again to finish, just like you see right here. Okay, so we have all finished edges, and at that point we go ahead and we toss it in the washing machine, and when it comes out of the wash, it has this wonderful, fantastic texture to it. It's softened up even more, and let me see if I can find you one of the corners. Yeah, so as it comes out, here's the selvage edge. It's got a little bit of fuzz or fiber, but nothing that would be a choking hazard or anything like that. And then you might also have a couple of threads that are loose from the original sewing, and all you have to do is come in there and finish those off. But when I did my first sample, I actually didn't start with the selvages. So I'm going to remind you, start with your selvages and you won't even get that little bit of thread hanging out the end. However, the key to that good night's sleep, not only in having a nice big swaddling blanket, but is also knowing how to swaddle correctly. So let me show you all how we're going to swaddle our little ones, right? Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to take and make yourself a big triangle, okay? And then grab your loved one off the shelf and go ahead and lay, oh, just kidding. Now I'm going to be nice, right? Because we love Jerry. We're going to lay Jerry down nice here. And the key is we're coming over the first arm, but under the second, okay? So we've got that out there, and we're gonna pinch, and we're gonna do a little bit of a tuck, and oh, you're doing so nice there. Okay, now we take that and we bring the bottom up. We're gonna burrito this little Bambino, and then from here, across the shoulder, what I found is if I could keep the shoulders in the swaddle, then I could really secure my youngsters for a great night's sleep. Then we're gonna wrap this around like this. One more time. And now with a long tail, you can tuck it back into itself here. You can tuck it into the top there. And if you have a real wiggly little guy or girl, of course, because those girls are just as wiggly at times, there's always the reinforcement, right? So we can take here, wrap like this, and secure. So, if you thought this was the craziest but the simplest swaddling blanket ever, I want to see pictures of you and your Bambinos all burritoed up while I'm making another project for you here at Man Sewing.